In Berkeley, I'm Dennis Bernstein. You're listening to Flashpoints on Pacifica Radio. We continue our coverage of the banning of books in Tucson. Dr. Rudolfo Acuna is a noted Chicano luminary. He is an author, educator, historian, and social activist. In 1969, Dr. Acuna co-founded the Chicano and Chicano Studies Department at the California State University at Northridge. He is often referred to as the father of Chicano studies. Dr. Acuna is the author of the landmark work on the history of Mexican Americans, Occupied America, a history of Chicanos. It was first published in 1972 and is currently in its 7th edition. It is an impressive and exhaustive work that documents the history of Chicanos and has become the standard-bearer in Chicano studies classes throughout the United States. He has taught for over 40 years at California State University, Northridge, and Dr. Acuna is a prolific and compelling speaker and writer. Besides Occupied America, he has authored The Story of Mexican American Community Under Siege, A Chronicle of Chicanos East of the Los Angeles River, 1945-1975, and most recently, The Making of Chicano Studies in the Trenches of Academe. In 1989, Dr. Acuna played a key role in the founding of the Labor Community Strategy Center, a multiracial, anti-corporate think tank and national school for organizers committed to building democratic international social movements. His honors include Distinguished Scholar Award from the National Association of Chicano Studies, the 2006 National Hispanic Hero Award from the United States Hispanic Leadership Institute, the 2007 Labor Strategy Center Award, the 2008 Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Hispanic Institute, and the 2009 Lifetime Achievement Award from the Mexican American Legal Defense and Education Fund, MALDOF. They recognize Dr. Acuna as one of the 100 most influential educators in the 20th century. Dr. Acuna has been on the front lines in defending the banning of books and Mexican American studies from the Arizona public school system, which is probably why his landmark work, Occupied America, A History of Chicanos, was one of the first books to make it to the ban list in Tucson last week. That was after the state ordered the Tucson School District to shut down its highly successful ethnic studies program. I spoke to Dr. Acuna just before airtime. Sir, it is good to have you with us. Let me begin here. What was your initial response when you heard that your book, crucial book in terms of this history, was banned in Tucson?
First of all, they've been trying to do this now for many years. It's not something that is new. Since at least 2006, they've been trying to ban the book. But I was a little bit irritated when it happened. But I knew it was coming.
All right. Say a little bit more about what you think is behind this. Why do they want to get rid of such a landmark book that has meant so much to so many young people in this country who really needed their history told? Tell us about what you think is going on here.
Well, I think it's right now there's an anti-Mexican climate there, but even more fundamental is that Arizona has almost been completely privatized. Now, how do you keep the prison industry going by having people inside them? So you have the anti-immigrant feeling and also the anti-Mexican feeling because they fill up the jails. For example, in the schools, the charter schools are mostly white. And who go to these mostly privatized schools are white kids who are afraid that they're going to go to school, or their parents are afraid they're going to go to school with Mexicans. So consequently, it's just a catch-22 situation. And I think that there's an awful lot of money behind it. Also, hate sells. If you want to go to political office, higher political office in Arizona, you do Mexican baiting. And this is what you do. You bait Mexicans. You are pro-immigration. You see the Republican candidates today. I mean, everybody's afraid to say, let's have some equity here. Everybody is anti-Mexican. Build higher walls, electrify them, do this and do that. So it's a opportunism of the politicians. Also, it keeps money coming into Arizona. The Tea Party, for example, is under the control of the Koch brothers. And the Koch brothers, even Romney says, are the engine to fuel the Tea Party. So there are many reasons why you have these anti-Mexican things. They say that the law 2281 was passed, and it was supposed to include all ethnic studies, but it's only being enforced against Mexican Americans. Why? And I think that it's obvious, is that they're the largest group, they're the most threatening group, and they're the group that are the most vociferous.
You're listening to Flashpoints on Pacifica Radio. We're speaking with Rodolfo Acuna. He is the author of Occupied America, History of Chicano, and we're talking about the banning of his book and other books in Tucson, Arizona. You know, Professor, when I was down in Tucson broadcasting from there, we interviewed a number of students about how important these books were. And we heard the story from one student who said that she had actually tried to take her own life growing up as a young Chicana in that state. And then came along this history and this book, and she said it was a lifesaver for her. Could you talk about what you understand, how this book has had an impact, and why you wrote it, particularly for the young people? You're still a teacher now.
Yes, I still am. I'm 79, but you know, it's not only the book; it's the whole program. What people don't understand about the Mexican American Studies program there is that it's a pedagogy. It's a way to get people to feel proud of themselves, to motivate them to stay in school, and motivate them to go on. You'll have hardly any dropout. It's negligible with the Mexican American Studies program. In Arizona, you have a 50 to 60% dropout rate of Mexicans, and this is the only program that has been successful in keeping them from dropping out. And it's a tragedy because most people know that people who drop out of school have a higher propensity of going to jail and to prison than people who finish high school and go on to college. And so I think that what this book does, it motivates people. It puts them into history. History, they're part of history. And this is very important for them. And it's very important for anyone. It's important for a black person. It's important for an Asian person. It's important for any person to feel like they're part of society.
You wrote this book in 1972.
Yeah.
What was the initial response? Was there anything like it at the time? And what was the initial response when it came out?
Well, the response was mixed. I think among Chicanos it was very good. It was not very good with many of the professional historians at the time, although I now do reviews for the American Historical Review, for the Pacific Historical Review, and an awful lot of reviews. But I remember the first time people, you would ask me questions at conferences. Why do you write with such emotion? I told them because I'm not a prostitute. I do the act with emotion, and when there's people being hanged, lynched, or when there are people that are being subjugated, then I get emotional about it, and I want to change it.
Can you talk a little bit about what was there for you when you were coming up? Does the writing of this and the creating of this history come out of your own experience of a need for something like this? And did you have something in your time?
What motivated me is that I'm a teacher. I've been teaching for over 55 years, or 55 years I've been teaching for. And I saw the need for students to have books. My first 3 books were for the public schools. The first 2 books that I wrote were for elementary schools, and the third book was for high school. I had to have a tool that I could use to supplement my classroom activity. The same thing with Occupied America. I was teaching in Chicano Studies, some of the first Chicano Studies classes. I had classes of mostly Mexican students, and I wanted to motivate them to go on to the college, to the graduate school when I was teaching at the university level. And so consequently, I had to have an instrument. I looked around, and the only book that was around was Carrie McWilliams. It was a very good book, but it didn't cover the 50s and it didn't cover the 60s. So I had to have something more current. So that's why I wrote the book. I wrote the book so it would supplement my teaching. Later on, the book changed. I've written 7 editions. Every edition is different, and it reflects the questions that are brought up in the classroom.
You're listening to Flashpoints on Pacifica Radio. We're talking about the banning of books in Tucson, Arizona, and we're talking to the author of one of those banned books, Rudolfo Acuna, and the book is Occupied America. You've always seen activism and education as deeply intertwined. After the official banning of the books, students in Tucson are mobilizing to defend ethnic studies in an attempt to shift the anti-Mexican climate in Arizona and throughout the country. Do you think it's important, and how do you see this fight unfolding? Is it time to gather in Tucson? Is it time? What kinds of actions do you see as important in this context?
Well, first of all, I wish the professionals, the Chicanos who are professionals, were as committed as students. I think the students are doing something that is vital. If you look at the context right now, I've looked at right now The Nation. I've looked at a lot of the left magazines. Not a word has been said of 2281, and if so, it's been in passing. I don't see the ACLU up in arms. I don't see any of the left organizations up in arms. The labor unions are fickle. The labor unions went to Phoenix with 1070, but then they moved on to Wisconsin. I say that Arizona needs it and is more vital right now than Wisconsin, because Wisconsin has a very vigorous and a very healthy trade union movement. They also have a somewhat of a left media. In Arizona, you don't have it. So Arizona right now is being picked off. And the thing that most people don't understand about it is that most of the legislators in Arizona are in the process of trying to nullify the U.S. Constitution, something that's going to affect all of us. It's going to affect the left. But the left has taken on almost an Obama aura. I mean, they will deal with it when it comes. They're not going to extend a hand. And so I blame the left. I blame the Obama administration because they are not enforcing the Constitution. And the only thing that students can do, and this is their motto, fight back. And they're fighting back. They've taken over the school district. They're taking to the streets. But they know that if they don't fight back, they're going to be led to those intellectual ovens.
You said those intellectual ovens. Say a little bit more about that image and why it's a strong image.
It's a very strong image, and I think that that when you don't have a future, when you can't go on to school, when you're stuck, and the only alternative that you have is prison, I think you're in the intellectual oven. I think a person who is taking drugs because of a low self-image, because of just the times, the hopelessness, is in an intellectual oven.
I think what's extraordinary is how successful this program was in Tucson. In the Tucson public school system, which about 61% are Mexican-American, Chicano people, it was incredibly effective at keeping kids in school, in inspiring and encouraging them to go on to higher education. By every standard, it measures up to what we would want an effective program to be. So it would appear that they're trying to shred kids where they live and learn and grow. Could you talk about what that means to you and just comment on that?
Well, the thing is that, again, I'm very frustrated with the left right now because what it means to me is that people are not thinking. You know, the people in Arizona, this is not by accident. Huppenthal is, like we would say in Spanish, no tiene madre. He does not, this guy here, I don't know what he was born of. Because this man right now ran on the ticket that he was going to abolish ethnic studies or Mexican American studies. Once he got in, he said, I'm going to have a private study. I'm going to commission a study. I'm going to pay $177,000 for this study. And in this study, I'm going to see that if the program is effective, if the program is un-American, if the program is patriotic, if the program is racist. The study came back afterwards and it said that the schools were patriotic, that the schools were American, that they were not racist. Then they went through books like mine, and they said, Occupied America is a standard American textbook. And so consequently, he says, it is not racist, it is not unpatriotic, it's not un-American, and it is a very respected textbook. So the report goes back to Huppenthal, who had said that he was going to base his opinion on this study.
And Huppenthal is the
superintendent of public instructions in Arizona. And so he then said, well, I don't believe it because I've heard, hearsay, I've heard that it's not. Then he takes it up to a commissioner and says, well, the commissioner will well, if anybody knows anything about the courts, a commissioner is not a judge. A commissioner is somebody who's appointed, usually with the support and with the imprimatur of the Attorney General. Well, the Attorney General is Tom Horne, who had introduced this law, 2281. So then he says, well, the commissioner came back and he said, well, I think that Huppenthal is right. Duh. And so consequently then, he then abolishes the program. He abolishes the program, although the program was endorsed by the unitary plan that the Tucson Unified School District was under. And this unitary program said that they should have a Mexican-American Studies program as a way to desegregate the schools and to improve the education of Mexicans. And it's still under that order, but the federal courts are not enforcing the law. So consequently, it gets to be very frustrating.
Professor, this school, by the way, you're referring to Tom Horne. He's the current Attorney General.
Yeah.
Many attribute this action to a vendetta that he has been holding against Dolores Huerta for going to Tucson and pointing out that in her perspective, that the white people here hate brown and black people, indigenous people, and she was, from her point of view, calling it like it was. Now Tom Horne comes back and ends this system. Do you see this as part of sustaining that vendetta?
It went beyond that vendetta. Tom Horne was a failed lawyer, got, I believe, disbarred at one time. He was in the selling stock in the early 70s, and his firm was was censored. And so he wasn't going anyplace. And so he wanted to get elected to office. And he found that the best way to do it was to bait Mexicans. And the best way to get money was to sell himself. So even before Dolores said that, he looked at it as a method or a way of, improving his career. And this is the reason that he used it. And you have to look at Arizona. I mean, you have an awful lot of people over 55 who have come here from other states, that have gone there from other states. They're afraid of Mexicans. Mexicans make up about 43% of the school children today in Arizona. And they know that they're going to be the majority. And so he's running for white xenophobes.
And in Tucson, it's over 60% in the school system. In Tucson, yes. Go on.
And the Phoenix school is less, but the Tucson schools are way more than a majority of Mexicans.
Now, one really has to ask the question in terms of the real politics going on here. You mentioned Obama, who has really stayed the course in terms of militarizing the border, higher fences, troops to the border, and enforcing all the various aspects of the racist sheriff in Phoenix. You mentioned Obama before, that he's going to be going out there trying to collect the vote of Mexican Americans. Say a little bit more about the politics here.
First of all, Obama knows that he doesn't fool around with the NRA, the National Rifle Association. And the NRA is they're being controlled by gun dealers. The border right now is being enforced against people, but right now, the Arizona corridor is one of the most trafficked corridors in terms of guns, the guns that are going to the cartels. And one of the ways they can get as many guns as they want is that there are no restrictions on the buying of guns in Arizona. So the gun dealers then are making a mint by selling arms to the cartels. Now, if he did anything against them, what was going to happen? The NRA is going to come against them. And everybody knows that most politicians, including Obama, are afraid of the NRA. Also, there are bank interests down there that are making an awful lot of money out of arms. The 1070 and the arresting of undocumented workers has made an awful lot of money for the prison industry. Remember that they're not deported immediately. They're held there, they say, for due process. And then they bill the federal government these privatized prisons for keeping the undocumented in there. So I think it's a very complex situation, and I think that Obama doesn't want to do anything that is going to upset any of the white establishment there. The best thing that Mexicans could do is take to the streets when he's in Arizona to show their displeasure with his policies and the lack of enforcement of federal laws.
And finally, the brutality here of the action is amazing, in which they have teachers having to box these books up in front of their students, having to, one teacher we interviewed last week said she was given 48 hours, 2 days off. They got a substitute for her to think about what she's going to teach, because they essentially stripped her of her curriculum and took away the books. We hear reports of kids crying in the classroom. This is a pretty brutal message, and now they want, I guess they want to institute, and this is coming up, the Newt Gingrich policy of having these kids become janitors in the schools. Please confront this brutality head on, and what would your advice be to teachers who are teaching in classrooms all around this country?
Well, first of all, the other teachers in other places should support the Tucson people. They should do something about it. They should be visible. They shouldn't be quiet, because this is going to happen to them. And they are quiet. They're not doing it. I don't know of a teacher organization that has come out against this. I don't know of a library association that has come out against censorship. Also, the left media, too. I commend you for having us on Pacifica, but I do think that the other ones should be, where is the nation? Where is in these times? Where is the progressive? Where are all of these people? Where are all of the left? Where is Mother Jones? And where is Moyer on this? I mean, I haven't heard anything from them. And the reason I haven't heard anything from them is because they're Mexican.
So you haven't had a call yet from Bill Moyers or any of these luminaries on the left yet?
No, I have not.
Well, I've been talking to some of them, and I think some of them want to get in touch with you. But I'm going to do everything in my power, Rodolfo Acuna, to get this message out. Are you talking about this in your own classes?
Oh, yeah, I talk about it in my own classes. Even though sometimes I have infiltrators from your friend, Horowitz, but I've expelled some of them because they have a right to voice concerns, but they don't have a right to disrupt. Not my classroom.
Is it time for, as we saw in the 60s, for people to go south to Tucson? Is it? I
think that they should have been in Tucson. I've already taken 2 groups to Tucson, and I'm going to take another one within 3 or 4 weeks. The last one I took was I took 53 students. I took 8 Asian students, and the rest were Latinos.
Amazing. Well, I'd like to hop a ride on that bus and follow you all down there. The Flashpoints team was down there about 1.5 years ago as this thing was unfolding big time. We were broadcasting from various places within the community, and we're going to take our microphones back down there and start broadcasting. Maybe we'll meet you in Tucson for the next round.
Yeah, well, keep in touch with me.
All right, that is beautiful. We would appreciate that. Let me tell people we've been speaking with Rodolfo Acuna. He is the author of the now banned in Tucson, Occupied America, and we're going to watch this very closely. Thanks, Professor, for taking the time out.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, bye-bye now.
Think about it, who builds the roads and the houses, who paints and cleans when you really break it down to the heart of it, the black and the brown, most often, work like a slave from the cradle to the coffin, life or death at the mercy of the bosses, flashbacks of how we got sold at the auctions, it's really no different, they took off the chains but our brains still ignorant, but who's the real immigrant oppressor, they don't want to deal with the question, the land you stand on was stolen from our ancestors, the true owners of the laws in Arizona. This land is our land from the block to the border.
Now as an outcast I was born, wasn't warm to the horn that would come and meet me in the form of our family formandido por el government. Now they call me immigrant, living in Ratfield, Oakland tenements. No quisimos venir, not the sole public land. Les gusta la cultura while they bite our working hand. Every shade, brown skin, woman, child, and man, doing what most people want when taking care of the land. Our backbone strong like an ox with its yoke, but depression's in the air and the Gulf no joke. Gold boat won't float, scapegoat the brown folks, so people don't choke on the horse long broke.
La chota, la migra, la misma porquería tenemos. Africa, Asia, América, familia tenemos. La chota, la migra, la misma porquería tenemos. Africa, Asia, América, familia tenemos. Trying to fight terrorism, not knowing who the enemy is, the immigrant. Everybody making fun of them. First they search them, next thing is work them, hurt them and don't want to nurse them. What is America without an immigrant? No cheap labor, nobody else for the quick.
That's Brown Buffalo on Flashpoints on Pacifica Radio. My name is Dennis Bernstein. This is your daily investigative news magazine.